What's up guys? So I got a quick discussion video for you guys. So I've been using the Galaxy S22 Ultra, the iPhone 14 Pro, and then the Pixel 7 Pro recently for a little bit, and I want to go ahead and just do a quick little comparison of these guys so I can sort of break down the difference, because these are very different takes on the flagship experience for each phone. So I want to go ahead and highlight what each phone does great, and you know, it is sort of becomes cons for the other phones and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. First off, these phones are all crazy expensive. Pixel $900, the 14 $1,000. I believe the S22 Ultra is still hovering around $1,000 and stuff like that. So these are very expensive phones here. So as far as the design here, I actually prefer the Pixel's design actually, as far as it being a more comfortable device. I really like what Google did this year with this phone, and it's the only phone here that does not have that extremely boxy feel that kind of cuts into the hand. It is one of the phones that I can say is actually pretty comfortable to hold here, and yeah, I absolutely love it. And the S22 Ultra and the 14 Pro, they both have these super boxy feels in the hand, especially the S22 Ultra. It's super boxy, cuts into the hand, and it's just not as comfortable as holding a phone with like very smooth edges on it. And I'll give you an example, a phone that I absolutely love, dear to my heart, the OnePlus 7 Pro. Even though this is a big phone, and I'm not a huge fan of big phones, as you guys can see, it curves and it's still extremely comfortable in the hand. This is one of the most comfortable big phones for me, because it's just such a thin bezels and stuff like that. But I absolutely love this phone, the way it feels. So when I transitioned from this phone to these phones, I noticed like super uncomfortable. But yeah, like I said, as far as the designs, all of these phones have some beautiful designs. They're all glass and metal devices, all IP68, dust and water resistant. Absolutely beautiful designs here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the display experience on these phones. So really, all of these phones have beautiful displays, but if I was going to give a winner to who had the best display, 100% would be the S22 Ultra here. It is an absolute beautiful display. So 6.8 inches, it's 1440p, and it just does a beautiful job with the display design. It's a very bright display, but not the brightest. The iPhone is actually the brightest display here at 2000 nits peak brightness. This is like 1750. And but the thing that I love about this display is just look at how thin the bezels are on the S22 Ultra. And if you guys have seen the leaks, the S23 Ultra is even going to have slimmer bezels than this. Samsung's able to get it even slimmer here, and I believe they're going to slim the bottom down too. So it just feels like you're holding like a beautiful screen in your hand, super vibrant colors on here. It is just absolutely a beautiful experience. Every time I look at this display, it is just beautiful. Just how it pops in colors and how it's got this edge-to-edge panel. It does look really awesome here. And the Pixel has a pretty similar display. Again, not as bright as the S22 Ultra's display, but it's a 1440p display, and it's actually got a curved display. Now it has a little bit more bezel than the Pixel, but it looks similar. But one of the things that I noticed is that the punch hole is a slight bit bigger. And like I said, the bezels are just not as thin as the S22 Ultra. It's a very like little petty thing. So most people are like, I can't barely tell, Matt. But yeah, if you look closely, you can. But yeah, I do like the S22 Ultra's display, and I'm excited for the next generation of this, because it's going to be even thinner and even brighter display. The one thing that the iPhone does basically better over the S22 Ultra and the Pixel is that it's just brighter display. It's just crazy bright outdoors. I mean, it is like ridiculous. And also, guys, Apple has done something pretty clever with their punch hole. Even though the punch hole is still like, I would say it's got to be like 5 of the punch holes on the S22 Ultra and Pixel. What Apple has done here is they sort of introduced this little dynamic island feature here, and go ahead and show you guys. So you're playing music. You can see it plays in the background if I'm in another application or something like that. And let me show you guys something else. So like if I open up the timer or open up the clock, and some of you guys, you might like it, you might not. And now you can see the timer is now going as well. But it also, like I said, I can go into another application, and it's like an easy way to multitask. You guys can see there. So Apple has done like a nice little clever thing, which I actually really like. I like the way that they're doing multitasking on here. But definitely I love the displays on these devices. Alright, so let's talk about what is each company trying to sell me on, right? Like what are they trying to sell me on as far as the software experience? That's a huge thing, right? Samsung is trying to sell you on the S Pen, right? And this comes down to personal preference. They're trying to sell you on the S Pen, jotting down notes, navigating with your S Pen. The S Pen has a ton of little features and stuff on it. If you guys want to check out my video I did on all the tips. But I love this. If you're going to a grocery store and you're just like, need to jot down a list, because I'm one of those people that always forget something at the store. Jot down a list real quick, or even just navigating. It just has this really fancy luxury feeling to it. There's also just small little cool stuff. So if you are into content creation, or if you're just one of those people that like take pictures by yourself, you put this on a tripod, hit the button, boom, you know, it takes a picture, so you can go really far distance because it's Bluetooth. It's a very cool little feature to have. I know a lot of people that really like the S Pen. Not only that, but Samsung has so much going on in terms of the advanced features and just settings in general. You can do so much. They have Samsung desktop support, which is extremely slept on. No one talks about it. It's extremely good. You can basically beam this into your smart TV or to a monitor, turn it into a full-on computer for the most part, which is absolutely nuts. They got secure folder in here. Now, what does Apple want to sell you on? Apple basically wants to sell you on the fact that FaceTime and iMessage are superior than pretty much anything that we have on Android. And not really, I would say, FaceTime for the most part, because Google Duo is actually pretty good. I use it with my sister, but iMessage is in a league of its own compared to what you get on Android. It's just a way better messaging platform, way more features. It's just better, right? So Apple wants to sell you on that fact first. Second, Apple wants to sell you on the fact that these phones are way better at getting updates, right? This phone will have a longer lifespan than the Pixel and the S22 Ultra. So this probably will have a 7 to 8 year major OS upgrade, while the S22 Ultra, I believe Samsung said 4 to 5 years or something like that, and the Pixel gets like 3, maybe 4. But it's still nowhere near close. So if you buy like any of these phones, this phone is going to last the longest when it comes to getting major OS updates. So Apple wants to sell you on the fact that the overall update experience is going to be better on an iPhone as well too. And also Apple wants to sell you on the fact that the integration is really tight with iPhone. So if you have a MacBook, iPad, all the devices sort of mesh together really well. So that's one thing that Apple definitely wants to sell its users on. So that's one thing to think about. If you have a MacBook and you have like a iPad, it's really hard to it's like almost impossible to have switch to an iPhone or switch to an Android. So you kind of like forced to buy a iPhone. What is the Pixel trying to sell me on here? Like, Google is basically trying to sell you on the same thing that Apple's trying to sell you on, is software. So basically, the Pixel is just extremely smooth. This is how you really want Android, with no bloatware, no double applications, smooth animations. So Google did a good job this year because this phone doesn't have a ton of bugs like last year's launch, and it just flies through Android. And also Google just has such a tight integration as far as the Google Assistant here is just built into the phone, right? It's just built into the phone flawlessly. Speech to text is great on here. The camera software on here is really awesome as well too. I personally think this takes some of the best photos, in my opinion, out of the bunch here. So Google trying to sell you on the fact that they have one of the best cameras in any Android smartphone, and also you get a very tight and clean version of Android as well too. So this is what Google wants Android to look like, and it does work. Like it is very nice, clean experience. Alright guys, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about the image quality here, or the cameras. Which phone has the best camera? So it basically, it could be come down to, several things here. But as far as the camera system goes, it's hands down the S22 Ultra. I personally, like, if I could only use one phone I had to choose for the cameras, it would be the S22 Ultra, because this is the phone that I have to do the least amount of editing with. And also, I just think this has the most cameras, so you just get the most. It's like the versatility of the cameras, right? So you get like this crazy good zoom quality. So if you do a lot of zoom shots on this phone, 30 times zoom looks excellent on this phone. 10 times zooms look excellent on this phone. This phone even has 100 times zoom on it as well too. We got a macro mode. Can shoot in 8K. The video, I actually really love. I actually prefer video on the S22 Ultra over the iPhone's video, which a lot of people are shocked by. But one of the things that the iPhone has a heads up in is that it is able to do social media like better for some reason. Like that, I don't know, Instagram and the social media apps are better optimized. I think they fixed it for Snapchat, but for like other applications, stuff like that, it's not as good. But back to the S22 Ultra, the 108 megapixel lens is just awesome on here. Crazy detailed shots. It is just a very impressive camera system when it comes to image quality. And Apple, a lot of people would say, this is the best camera because it is probably the most consistent between the lenses. Like when we talk about just switching and zooming and uploading to social media, it's more consistent with video. Like the ultra wide video on here is not even close. The Pixel and S22 Ultra are not even close to like the ultra wide video on here, and just stuff like that. So I do think the iPhone has a more complete package when it comes to video camera on here. Even though I find myself having to edit photos, I get really dark and not dark, but these really gray type of photos that I've seen other people complain about as well too. What a lot of you guys don't know is a lot of the pictures that you see, a lot of the people, they have to edit the photos on this phone, because it can come out and give you some weird like colored shots. So they do a lot of editing, and I find myself not having to edit photos as much on the S22 Ultra or the Pixel. Now if I had to choose one phone for just straight up stills, it would be the Pixel easily. This phone gets skin tones much better for people of color and stuff like that, and I'm glad Google recognized that, because if like the iPhone, it gives you that really gray weird look. The Pixel does a good job of getting your skin tone right. The Galaxy actually does even a good job as well too. But the Pixel, the still is just high dynamic range. It has like this really nice Google image processing, where it just gives you this really sharp, really nice photo, good nighttime photos on here. But like I said, the Pixel, why you couldn't say it's the best, because video actually kind of sucks on the Pixel, right? It's worse than the S22 Ultra, and it's definitely worse than the iPhone. Definitely Google needs to fix that. But when it comes to stills, I just love how this phone takes stills. This is absolutely beautiful. If I had to take one phone to take stills with, just straight up, point and click, snap, it would definitely be the Pixel. Easy. All right, so talking about the power of these phones, and as you can see, Apple just has better hardware to software optimization, so it's always gonna have a leg up in the Geekbench scores and Antutu scores and stuff like that. So it is gonna be the better optimized phone, essentially. But like I said, for general usage, you really won't notice too much a difference in terms of speed. Just launching applications and stuff like that is going to be pretty much the same on these devices. As far as the gaming experience, all of these phones do an excellent job with gaming, but I would definitely say the Pixel is probably the worst optimized, because it's a newer chip. It doesn't perform as well as the S22 Ultra or the iPhone. So definitely, if you're a gamer, I would be leaning towards these two devices. And for maximum power, if you're like an actual really hardcore gamer, the iPhone is going to give you it's going to give you that better performance in terms of benchmarks and stuff like that. You're just going to be able to have more consistent FPS. As far as battery life, the battery life actually is very good on all of these phones. I can easily get a full day's use out of all of these phones as well too. So that is really nice. One thing that the Android phones have is that they have reverse wireless charging, which is something that I really like. So that's definitely beneficial. iPhone does have the MagSafe charging, which is okay. But yeah, so that's pretty much sums up. I really enjoyed my experience with all of these phones. They're very different experiences, but they all offer kind of like a unique experience. So be sure to let me know what do you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.